in time for story time. Inspiring people, inspiring stories from all around the world. Boys and girls, moms and dads, who knows what you'll find. We all have a story, and you're just in time for story time.
Just in time for story time for a very special episode. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Just in Time for Story Time. I am your host, Justin Stephen Ford, author of the diverse picture book, I See Me. And we are back for a very, very special episode in a brand new segment of Just in Time, Inspiring People, Inspiring Stories, Music Edition. Now, if this is your first time, welcome. But as you know, we talk to children during our Children Speak segment, and we talk about what they're up to, what they're reading. We talk to inspiring people from all around the world, and then we also do inspiring places. But today is the first time that we're doing our music edition, and I'm so excited because I'm just a fan of our guest today. So without further ado, you are just in time for story time, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so before I bring our guest up today, I'm going to go ahead and read a little bio about them, and then we'll bring it up, have a conversation, and then get into some music. All right. So Jake Chapman, hailing from Los Angeles, California, is a multi-talented musician and artist that not only plays the vibraphone, marimbas, xylophone, and piano, just to name a few, but also is a talented composer, songwriter, arranger, performer, educator, and now digital content creator. Through his engaging content on platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, he has amassed a following of 2 million followers. His formal education includes studying jazz vibraphone at Juilliard and honing his musical theater songwriting through the prestigious BMI Musical Theatre Workshop. Through his videos, he aims to entertain, uplift, inspire, and unlock passion within all of us through percussion. Please welcome my very first musical guest to the show, Jake Chapman, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah!
Hey, how's it going, Justin? Thanks for having me, man.
I'm good. Thank you for being I don't know if I told you, you're my first musical guest.
I don't think I knew that, so I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is, like I said, we do a bunch of different segments where we go and talk to people, but you do a lot of amazing things. I first came across you on TikTok or your viral video, which we'll talk about. But are you ready to have a little conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. So I think a lot of people have seen you go viral, and you were playing, I think, the xylophone, vibraphone, a bunch of different instruments, and we'll talk about it. But first off, tell people, who is Jake Chapman that might not know you?
Cool. Yeah, so my name is Jake Chapman. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I'm a musician. As you mentioned, I play Mallet percussion, which includes vibraphone, marimba, xylophone, Glockenspiel. I also play piano. And I have a very big jazz background. As you mentioned, I studied jazz vibraphone at Juilliard. I also went to Columbia University in New York, where I majored in music and computer science. And after living in New York for a few years and being on the music scene there, I've been back in LA for a little over 4 years now, where I've been gigging and making a ton of content, and now very much focusing on writing and recording my own music.
Very nice, man. Very nice. So what does music mean to you? I know that might be a tough question, but what kind of influence has music had for you in your life?
Yeah, I mean, music has been around me for as long as I can remember. I actually come from a musical family. My mom is a singer and a vocal coach, and my dad, among other things, is a pianist, songwriter, radio host, etc. So growing up, I heard them practicing for gigs. I heard my mom giving voice lessons. And then I started piano lessons when I was 6.
Okay.
I also have a sister who is a singer-songwriter. So the whole family does music. It's been around me forever.
Okay.
So for me, it's just a core component of my life, and it has been for a very long time. But yeah, it's just been a thing that I do and a thing that I gravitate toward. And whether it's as simple as sitting down at the piano or, you know, coming to my vibraphone and playing, or, you know, performing for people, or coming up with things, you know, etc. It's just something that I've spent a lot of time and energy on, and have had amazing moments with music, and I've met so many people through music and played with so many people. So it's just been the most, you know, meaningful thing in my life, for sure. Like, it's the thing around which my life has been structured, more than anything else, I would say. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. It's the core there. It sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned how your family is very musical. You were part of a family band. What was that family band called?
Yeah, so we're called the Von Chaps, and we had our first performance in 2007 here in LA.
Okay.
And we've done a number of performances over the years in LA, but the highlight absolutely was a 19-city concert hall tour in China in December of 2019. And it was absolutely wild. But we would, you know, go from city to city by bus or by high-speed train or by plane. And we'd do this show that comprised of jazz, musical theater, opera, classical, pop, some of my sister's original music. So yeah, that was quite a phenomenal adventure in China that we had.
Very cool. Now, did you pick up any Chinese while you were there?
Just a tad. I actually tried to learn a little bit after we got home, but it only lasted a couple months.
Okay.
But because the audiences didn't understand much English, we inserted just a little bit of Chinese in our show. So I had to learn 1 or 2 lines for the show. But yeah, no. We had a translator on the trip.
Okay. Now, you just said something important, how, you know, you're in China, you're playing music, and even though you all don't speak the same language, I think, and this is the beautiful thing about music to me, is how unifying it is, how it's the universal language. Honestly, you don't have to speak the language or speak the same language or be from the same place to have the same feeling when you hear the song. Have you ever seen that? I'm sure when you played for these audiences in LA or China, you can still get a visceral response, an emotion and reaction.
In my experience, I've heard this applied to jazz very much, because jazz, not only, you know, can you have one, you know, artist or performer or band from one country play for an audience in another country, but with jazz, you can get up on the bandstand or at a jam session, whatever, with people who don't speak the same language, but actually be playing in real time. And that's something you can do with like a lot of music, but jazz especially, is because the foundation of it is improvisation and a shared understanding of vocabulary and musical language. I think jazz, it takes it to the next level in that regard. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love jazz music. Thank you for sharing that, man. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, you play piano and you compose music, but you play several instruments that I think we don't traditionally see. So we see piano, we see saxophone, which are beautiful. But as you mentioned, you play the marimba, vibraphone, and xylophone. And I think you mentioned a couple other things. But how did you get started with these instruments?
Yeah, so in middle school, 6th grade, I started playing percussion in the wind ensemble. So that's just an ensemble with horns and percussion, essentially. And I also played after school in the percussion ensemble. And so these were my first experiences with mallet instruments. So mallet instruments are like the one behind me. This is a vibraphone.
Yeah.
And it's laid out like a piano. So if you come from piano, you already have a leg up in terms of like the layout of the notes.
Okay.
And then when it came time to apply for jazz band at the end of 6th grade, I applied on piano, but there were a few other pianists who applied as well, or I should say auditioned. And the director of the jazz band knew that I played percussion already. So he asked if I wanted to try vibes. Vibes is short for vibraphone.
Nice.
And I said, yeah, sure. And yeah, I took a liking to it and just have played it up till today. And that's kind of how I got into mallets.
And
How old
old
was
were you
I when I
then?
started? Yeah, I mean, so when I started in percussion ensemble, I would have been 11.
Okay.
And when I started playing vibes in jazz band, which is really the moment I think I started focusing on a little more,
Okay.
I would have been 12 at that point.
Wow.
And so yeah, for the first few years, I played in school a lot, and I did get my first instrument, which is in the corner over there, in 7th grade when I was 13 years old. But I think it was really the second half of high school when jazz really became my main musical focus.
Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for our first Just in Time for Storytime Music Edition guest, Jake Chapman.
Thanks, Justin. Hey, everybody. So this here is a vibraphone. It is played with these things called mallets. And as you can see, I have 2 mallets in each hand. It's totally fine to use one in each hand, like this. But when you have 2 in each hand, you can start playing 4-note chords. Right? And the bars are made out of metal. And if I don't do anything, short sounds, but there's a pedal, and when I press the pedal down with my foot, the notes ring. And there you have it. It's a vibraphone. You can also see some other instruments around me. This here is a marimba, and it has wooden bars. And back here is a Glockenspiel. And those are just a few of my instruments in my studio. But today I'm going to focus on the vibraphone. And I'm going to play for you a piece that you might have heard at some point. It's called Over the Rainbow. So there you have it. That's. Oh. Hope you enjoyed that. Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh my gosh, man. Yay! You had me almost crying over here.
Oh man, thank you.
Now I have one request. One request.
Yes.
That was so beautiful. First off, do your hands ever hurt after that?
No, the only thing that hurts sometimes is if I play a lot,
Okay.
and I'm playing hard.
Okay.
Sometimes, basically, the side of my middle fingers
Okay.
will get raw, and right now they have like really big calluses built up.
Okay.
But if I lose those, then I'll get blisters. But that's pretty much the only thing that'll maybe hurt when I'm playing vibes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, in February of 2024, you unveiled your single, "An Angel Will Be With You Shortly." And this is an expansive rendition of your earlier work that captivated 20 million viewers on Instagram. And I think that's the video that we saw go viral, where you are just going away on different instruments and you made the dopest vibe that I've heard in a very long time. Did you set out to go viral? How did it feel to go viral? How did all that come about?
Yeah, no, I absolutely didn't expect or even think about going viral for this thing. This was just the first entry in this new, call it a New Year's resolution of sorts, to work in my studio, right? And to be writing and recording. And so I came up with this thing, made the video. You know, I liked it, but had no idea that it would, be received like this. It was pretty wild. You know, it was very unusual for this kind of thing to happen. This never has happened to me on Instagram like this. And the fact that it was for something that I wasn't expecting to get views, and it was a piece of original music, I think that made it really a lot more meaningful for me. And definitely made me really want to keep exploring this new side of me and start paying more attention to the artist side of me, because I've just been sidemanning real hard in LA the past couple of years, playing a ton of gigs, very few under my own name, doing recording sessions for people. And, I have a lot of fun doing that, but I really felt like I needed to have some more intention in what I was doing and try to build something original. And I feel like, this first video getting this reach is just like a sign of some sort, and just like a reminder that, I do have something to offer that a lot of people resonate with. So
it definitely resonated with me. I mean, when it popped up on my timeline, I said, who is this guy and where can I find more of it? Because it was just something so different. Like you said, nowadays a lot of artists or musicians are sampling or borrowing, and the fact that this is all original music, and I think people are just looking for something new, something refreshing, something natural, and I think that's something that you bring. And I mean, you play the vibes, you are a vibe. It just all makes sense to be there for sure. So question. So here at Just in Time for Storytime, we're all about children's literacy. I'm an author for diversity and representation for children. And we interview people who are doing inspiring things. And I think music is something that's very important for children to be exposed to, and music of all kinds. And that's why I definitely wanted to have you on as a guest, because I wanted to show children, hey, piano is great, saxophone is great, but music is this huge world. Do you feel like music is important for children to take an interest in when they're young?
Absolutely. I would definitely say that. I think that, things that you're exposed to at an early age have a lasting purpose in your life, or a little bit of meaning in your life, at least, right? I from my experience, of course, like music was introduced to me from a very early age, right? And so that's definitely part of the reason why I'm gravitated to it. But yeah, I think exposing them to music at an early age shows them its importance and allows them to take an interest in it and become musicians themselves. And just shows them that like there's this big world of music out there, right? And music is one of the richest things that we have, as humans. And I think we'd be just doing a disservice to our children if we're not introducing it to them or enriching their lives with it from as early an age as possible. I think that music helps connect people and break down boundaries, language, for instance, as we mentioned, but it allows us to kind of abstractly feel something together, right? And there are obviously so many different kinds of music, so it also can be very it can be a great thing in terms of like finding what you like and what you don't like. And that helps kids figure out who they are, perhaps, and find their identity, because a lot of times identity is formed around music in not a small way in many cases, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I think all the arts are extremely important to expose kids to, music being, one of them, I'm obviously partial to music, but I think all the arts, I've been involved in theater, visual arts, and dance, and everything else. I think it's great. And obviously we hear a lot about funding for arts programs being cut in schools, and I just think that's a big mistake. In general.
Well, I feel like a lot more children will be playing the xylophone after they see what you're about to do in here in just a minute. I know I'll be picking up a mallet, but before we get to the musical, you doing your thing, I want to play a game that we play here just in time for story time called Rapid Random Question, but this is music edition. Okay, so the goal of this game is to answer. It's a fire rapid round to answer the questions as quickly as you can. First thing that comes to mind, no pressure. Are you ready?
All right.
For rapid random question?
Sounds good.
Okay, let's go. So first question, imagine songs could talk. Which song do you think would be the wisest, and what advice do you think that it would give?
Oh man.
I know.
Okay. Which song would be the wisest, and what advice would it give? Oh wow.
Yes.
Since it is first thing that came to mind, I thought of Let It Be.
Okay.
For some reason. And that seems like a very wise song,
It does.
And what advice would it give? It would be, just don't let the things you can't change aggravate you too much, or stress you out too much, or make you worry too much, right? Only focus on the things that you can affect,
that you can control. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. If you were a musical genre, which one would you be?
I thought of funk for some reason. I thought of jazz and then funk at the same time. So I'll say funk though.
Okay. Now tell us why. Tell us why.
I guess because funk is all about the groove, right? It's all about the groove, a lot of syncopation, gotta be tight with it, and I like feeling like I'm in the groove.
There's a song that comes to mind where they say, play that funky music, white boy.
Yeah.
Okay. What color do you think music is?
I mean, music. No. What color is music? I mean, the first thing I thought, to be honest, is synesthetes, right? Who
Okay. Yep.
see colors when they hear music, right?
Yep.
And as far as I know, they see a lot of different colors. So I don't think I could pin down a color for music, right? So I guess if I had to put anything, it would have to be rainbow, which is not a color.
Good answer. Good answer. I like that. Good answer. If you could have a conversation with any musician, dead or alive, who are you talking to?
Jimi Hendrix for sure.
Easy. That was easy for you.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one that comes to mind instantly, right?
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, if you can invent a new musical instrument, what would it sound like?
Oh man. What would it sound like?
Yeah.
How about this? I'm gonna say it would sound like an Oreo milkshake. I don't know what that means, but that's what it sounds like.
I can taste it. I love
All
that.
right.
Which song lyrics do you wish you had written and why? Is there a song where you're like, that's good? Oh, that's good.
But one song that came to mind was Blackbird. I think that's a beautiful song.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise.
I have one last request before we let you go.
Sure.
You have a lot of jazziness in your music. Would you mind playing us a jazzy piece? Is that too much to ask?
No, it's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time on Just in Time for Story Time, inspiring people, inspiring stories, music edition, Jake Chapman.
Thanks, Justin. So, all right, I'm going to play one more tune. This one is called On the Sunny Side of the Street. Oh no. you noticed, that is a very uncommon thing that just happened. And that is a strand of the yarn that is wrapped around the mallets, right? That has started to unravel, and it caught on one of these little metal hooks.
Okay.
And so I don't know if you saw, but my mallet was here. I tried to bring it up, but it's down here. And I'm like, ah. And
Well, the show must go on, and
it
it
must
did.
go on. So, that's why I was like, oh no. If that happened like in a performance with the band, that would be okay. But solo, when you're playing solo anything, but like, it's all you, you have no one else backing you, it's all up to you to continue. So that was a great moment there. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was a jazzy piece, good old American songbook standard.
Yeah. That was great, man. Thank you so much. Can you please let everyone know where they can find you and what you have coming up next?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me. Let me get a little close.
Come back to us.
I'm coming back. You can find me. Best place to find me would be Instagram at Chappy Milkshake, CHAPPY Milkshake. It's on the screen right there. On YouTube and TikTok, I just use my name, Jake Chapman. On streaming services for music, it's also Jake Chapman. And what am I up to next? Well, I want to first and foremost just keep creating, right? Keep writing and recording and releasing music, putting out videos, figuring out my live show and starting to perform that and eventually tour that. Hope to work up to an album to release, because I only have that one single out. So yeah, I mean, that's the bulk of it, I would say,
And then we're going to see you on Tiny Desk very soon, right? That's what we're putting out there.
Yeah. I'll be there.
Absolutely.
We'll see. But at some point, I know I'll be there at some point. Well, how about we'll put it like that? Yeah.
And then your music is available on all streaming platforms, I take it, right?
It is. Yes.
Okay.
Please go stream it. I've been very pleased. I've been, I haven't released much music. Let's put it like that. In terms of, streaming or very like nothing physical. So during the pandemic, it was finally a chance for me to put some stuff up. So in 2021, I released 5 albums actually.
What?
Yeah. And I can briefly explain, but they were all albums of material that I put together from work that I did on an app called Voicey. And it's kind of a social media meets music app. And so I compiled various little snippets that I had made and arranged them into these projects, which you can listen to online. But, the new single that I just released, I think that's really the first entry in what I would consider like a proper release.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And just, the response has been great. We're 3 weeks from the release date, and we're closing in on 200,000 streams on Spotify alone. So, that's great. That's a great sign of things to come.
Yeah.
People have been putting it on their playlists, listening to it on loop.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get more up there soon. In fact, I'll be releasing an alternate version of An Angel Will Be With You Shortly, which is just going to be a loop of the original video. So the first version was an extended version with a new section. This is just going to be a straight loop. And I just felt like doing that because a lot of people were consuming it in that way, right? Just putting that original video on loop. So that's what I got. And it's good to just release something else. I'm trying to stay consistent with the releases, right? Because I've been super consistent in general with social media. But now it's time to be consistent with releasing music. Yeah.
Well, Jake, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. And again, being our first musical guest. Will you come back when the album drops?
My pleasure. Yeah, no, I would love to. Thank you so much again. This has been a blast. And I hope all your viewers enjoy this episode and find something, inspiring in it.
Yes, that's what inspiring people, inspiring stories, and that you are, my friend. Well, listen, until next time, please click, subscribe, all of the things. Please follow my friend Jake and find out what he's up to on all of his social media platforms. The information is also below in the comments. But until next time, you are just in time for story time. Jake, thanks, man.
Thank you, man. Peace.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
You're just in time for story time. Inspiring people, inspiring stories from all around the world. Boys and girls, moms and dads, who knows what you'll find. We all have a story, and you're just in time
For story time. Just in time for story time for a very special episode.